The latest revelation marks a decisive turning point in a conflict that has been quietly fermenting beneath the polished surface of the Logan family for years. Brooke's counterattack does not arrive in the form anyone expected. After losing control of the Logan brand to Katie and watching her own legacy slip from her hands, Brooke might have chosen the familiar battlefield of boardrooms, contracts, and corporate revenge. Instead, she strikes at something far more fragile and far more dangerous: the truth. By successfully drawing Eric to her side, Brooke secures not only strategic support, but also moral validation, and with that foundation beneath her feet, she finally dares to expose a secret that Katie has buried for decades. For Brooke, this moment is not driven by simple vengeance. It is the culmination of long-suppressed rage, betrayal, and a sense of moral imbalance that has haunted her ever since Katie positioned herself as the wounded sister and Brooke as the perpetual transgressor. Brooke has lived for years under the weight of judgment, always cast as the woman whose desires ruined families and destabilized empires. Losing the Logan brand becomes the final confirmation that Katie is willing to erase her entirely, not just from the company, but from the family narrative itself. And so Brooke's retaliation is deeply personal. By revealing Katie's past, she is not merely defending herself. She is reclaiming the right to tell the full story, including the parts that were deliberately hidden to protect Katie's image. The secret itself is devastating precisely because it dismantles the moral pedestal on which Katie has long stood. Long before the current power struggle, Katie once attempted to seduce Brooke's partner and seize control of Forrester through manipulation rather than merit. More damning still is the revelation of a child conceived during a clandestine affair with a much younger man within the company. This was not a fleeting mistake, but a sustained deception, one that forced Katie into years of silence and strategic denial. The child's existence, now safely distant in Europe with his father, represents both Katie's deepest vulnerability and her greatest fear, proof that she, too, crossed lines she later condemned Brooke for crossing. Katie's internal conflict is what gives this revelation its sharpest edge. She did not hide the truth out of malice alone, but out of shame, fear, and the desperate need to survive in a world that punishes women selectively. The affair with a younger man stripped her of the moral authority she carefully constructed, and the child became a living reminder of a version of herself she could never afford to acknowledge publicly. Every decision Katie made afterward, every accusation, every act of moral superiority, every ruthless business move was built on the fragile foundation of that buried past. Brooke's exposure does not create Katie's downfall. It simply removes the scaffolding that kept her upright. The most volatile question, however, is not whether Katie's reputation can survive, but whether Bill can. For years, Bill has believed he understood Katie completely, seeing her as the steady counterbalance to Brooke's chaos, the woman of principle who represented stability and restraint. Brooke's revelation threatens to shatter that perception in an instant. Bill is not merely confronted with Katie's infidelity or secrecy. He is forced to reconcile the image he trusted with the reality he never questioned. The existence of the child, the calculated silence, and the hypocrisy embedded in Katie's judgment of Brooke strike at the core of Bill's belief system. Brooke, fully aware of this, does not reveal the truth lightly. Her decision carries the weight of knowing that once spoken, it cannot be taken back. She understands that Bill's reaction may not be forgiveness or understanding, but fury, denial, or even deeper emotional fracture. Yet Brooke proceeds anyway, because for her, silence has become a form of self-destruction. By exposing Katie's past, she forces everyone, Bill included, to confront the uncomfortable reality that no one in this family is as innocent or as righteous as they pretend to be. What lingers in the aftermath is not a clean victory, but a heavy, unresolved tension. Katie stands exposed, stripped of the narrative she curated so carefully, while Brooke risks being seen once again as the woman who destroys rather than creates. Bill, caught between shock and disbelief, must decide whether love can survive truth, or whether truth inevitably poisons love. The revelation does not end the war, it simply changes its nature. In the silence that follows, one thing becomes painfully clear. This family is no longer fighting over a brand or a company, but over identity, accountability, and the right to define who they really are when the masks finally fall.
Oh,